I went to work that day as normal, and then evening that time, I got a phone call from her husband.
A mother gone without her cell phone, her keys.
We just want closure.
An unsettling feeling something isn't right. And 2 years later, this family is still searching for answers.
Plus, unable to leave the hospital until he got a special breathing machine.
You have to trust the physicians.
When insurance wouldn't cover it, this couple contacted Denver7, and tonight, their insurance had a sudden change of heart.
I am very, very grateful to Channel 7.
And thousands of college kids are heading into the weekend in quarantine. The alarming levels of COVID found in wastewater that's putting students at Colorado State on lockdown.
It's still overwhelming, especially because it's my first semester freshman year of college.
As we speak, people are closing their tabs, and bars in the city of Boulder must put away all alcohol.
An emergency order just went out late today, cracking down on students who we've seen are still out partying, not following health guidelines to stop gathering. Last call in Boulder is now 10 p.m. The statewide last call is 11 p.m.
Now, the spike in cases across Colorado is largely due to the increasing cases on university campuses. And it's not just students in Boulder. Wastewater testing at Colorado State shows high levels of coronavirus at 2 campus residences.
Denver7's Gary Brode went to Fort Collins tonight, speaking to students there now forced to quarantine.
It's dinner time for these CSU freshmen, and for most of them, it's the first time they've left their dorm today.
We couldn't go to classes today. We can't leave unless we're getting meals here, or there's some exceptions.
Late Thursday night, the 400 students here at Summit Hall and the 500 over at Braden Hall got an alarming email.
Was just kind of working on some late homework and got the email that said, hey, by the way, you can't go to classes.
Not only were they told not to go to class, they were also told to stay in their dorms.
I called my parents last night. I was a little bit worried.
Colorado State University officials have been testing wastewater around campus.
Since we started the semester, we've been doing routine wastewater testing in order to kind of gauge the level of virus within the wastewater.
Lori Lynn is in charge of COVID-19 operations on campus. She says this week, both Braden and Summit Hall's COVID levels in that wastewater climbed to an alarming amount.
The Braden Hall, we've been having some positive cases. We've been identifying those individuals. With Summit, we aren't experiencing a lot of positive cases, but the signal is pretty elevated.
As of September 24th, the university had 304 confirmed cases on campus.
I was honestly kind of mad about it because I thought that the whole quarantine was all over.
Lynn says testing the wastewater doesn't give them an idea of how many students could be positive.
We just don't know, so the safe thing to do is to go ahead and quarantine, test the students tomorrow.
Lynn tells us if students do not stay in their dorms, they could face a student conduct infraction, but believes most will comply with the quarantine. Students agree.
As inconvenient as it can be, I'm glad they're taking all of these precautions to keep everyone on the campus safe because we all want to be here.
In Fort Collins, Gary Brode, Denver7.
We are nearing 68,000 coronavirus cases in Colorado after adding more than 700 cases just today. And this is the highest single-day case count we've seen since August 5th, the highest during our current post-Labor Day surge of virus cases.
Contact Denver7 is getting results for a Lakewood woman fighting with her insurance company. United Healthcare just agreed to cover equipment her husband needs to breathe. In tonight's Cost of Care, the family tells Denver7's Jessica Porter never take no for an answer.
I'm so glad to see you. I am very, very grateful to Channel 7 for covering this story and to all the doctors at Swedish Medical Center and National Jewish.
Charlene Lau has spent the last few weeks on endless calls with United Healthcare. Doctors appealed insurance denials, and Denver7 made a few calls to United Healthcare as well.
I'm thrilled at the prospect of getting my husband home. I am cautious that this machine will work as well as the one that was originally ordered.
Gerald Lau has congestive heart failure and respiratory failure. He was on life support and spent the last month in the hospital. Doctors wanted to release him with an AVAPS breathing machine, but insurance denied it. Doctors could not let him go home without it because he would relapse.
You have to trust the physicians that you choose to do what's best for you. And the insurance company, the doctor, Dr. Beach, that signed those denials, he's never even met us.
United Healthcare claimed Gerald did not have a covered condition and wanted doctors to use the less expensive BiPAP. a device doctors had already tried but landed Gerald back in the ICU. Finally, they came to an agreement. United Health says, quote, in Mr. Lau's case, we approved coverage of a BiPAP machine with AVAPs, a solution that his pulmonologist agreed was appropriate following a discussion about his health needs.
Don't let them tell you that their way is the only way. It's not. There are other options, and we pay them enough money as insurance companies that they should be there for us like they advertise.
Family have set up a GoFundMe to help the Laus with their $40,000 in medical bills. The couple, who just married last year, can't wait to get home and catch up on their favorite team.
We've not watched a single Bronco game yet because we always watch them together. Really? Yeah, so they're recorded on our DVR.
Jessica Porter, Denver7.
The late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the first woman and first person of Jewish faith to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. An intimate ceremony today to honor the life of the iconic justice, including her love for opera and her personal trainer of 20 years doing push-ups to say goodbye.
And outside the Capitol, with just 39 days until the election, ABC News has learned President Trump will likely pick Amy Coney Barrett from the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to fill Ginsburg's seat. Barrett, a graduate of Notre Dame Law School, is a mother of 7, a devout Catholic, and a favorite among anti-abortion groups.
He's worked in the Oval Office under a handful of presidents, but tonight, for the first time, former Deputy Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Robert Cardillo, says he can no longer stay silent.
In a bombshell op-ed published today in the Denver Post, he says out of the 6 presidents he's worked for, only 1 has failed to serve the nation's national security interest, and he says that is President Trump. Robert Cardillo is from Colorado. He moved here as a teen, went to Smoky Hill High School, and in that op-ed, he calls the president's actions erratic, writing, quote, he has little patience for facts or data that do not comport with his personal worldview. Thus, the conversations are erratic and less than fully thoughtful.
To me, this is not about party. It's not about left, right, liberal, conservative. It's about service. I'm just giving you my opinion about how I thought the way that the conflict, that disconnect that exists between the national security information stream that was heading to him and given to him does put us at great risk.
And we are monitoring the president's Twitter account to see if he responds to the op-ed. So stay with Denver7 as this develops over the weekend.
A Castle Rock man on a mission to find this woman caught on video tearing down a Trump-Pence sign on his property. Castle Rock police are also looking for her. This happened in Castle Rock Monday night as the woman starts pulling the sign down here. Another driver pulls up to question her actions, and that driver recorded this confrontation.
Okay, well, we're just going to make sure that this is videotaped so I can send it to the police. Okay, keep voting for the person who doesn't believe in democracy, you idiot. Who's a racist? I would really recommend you stop.
The woman who tore down that sign just walked off eventually, but now the property owner who had the sign in his yard is offering a $1,400 reward for information to track down that woman.
A federal judge is ordering the president's top public lands official to step aside. William Perry Penley has been the acting head of the Bureau of Land Management for more than 400 days. A judge ruled he's been serving unlawfully. This is in response to a lawsuit filed by Montana's governor, who argued Penley has been serving illegally because he was never confirmed by the Senate. Penley's been known for his controversial comments that climate change isn't real and comments urging the federal government to sell its western lands. BLM is part of the Department of the Interior, and the Interior Press Secretary calls this an outrageous decision outside the bounds of the law and adds they will be appealing. A daughter won't give up until she finds her missing mom. It's been more than 2 years since anyone has seen Terry Ackerman.
She disappeared from her home in Lochbuie, leaving behind all of her belongings. As Liz Gilardi showed us, her daughter is pleading for help.
Her family was everything.
When Amber Carolus looks at pictures of her mom, this is what she remembers.
How happy she looked, because she was happy.
She put all these pictures in a book for her kids to look at because they miss their grandma. She was babysitting them, went home, and they never saw her again.
She loved watching the kids. She told me that was everything to her.
Terry Ackerman vanished on August 24th, 2018. Her daughter says she left behind her cell phone, keys, ID.
That's how my life has existed for the last 2 years, is constantly worrying, constantly thinking, reaching out to people. My brain doesn't stop with it all.
Amber says it just doesn't make sense. She remembers talking to her mom the night before she went missing.
Thursday evening, she watched my children, and then I came home from work, and then she, told me, I'll call you when I get home, and she did.
Then she received another phone call. This time her mom sounded different.
Then 2 hours later, she calls back and was crying and said, I cannot watch the kids. And I didn't understand.
She didn't show up to babysit the next day, but Amber says her mom's husband came over. Later that day, her mom was reported missing.
I went to work that day as normal. And then evening that time, I got a phone call from her husband around 8:30 p.m. saying my mom was missing, and he made a report.
And when we reached out to the Lockbuoy police chief, he told me this case is still part of an active investigation and CBI is assisting. He called it an odd situation and says they can't rule out foul play.
We just want closure. We want closure to know so our family can heal.
Even though Terry was bipolar and had anxiety, her daughter says there's no way she would leave behind her family and the grandkids she loved so much.
No, I do not. I do not believe she walked away.
But what if Terry didn't walk away from her small community in Lockbuoy? What happened? Amber is hoping someone knows where her mom is, and she's hoping that person is willing to speak up.
Please speak on where she is. We just want closure. We want closure. We want our mom back.
Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Everything, all my blood, sweat, and tears.
He's dedicated his life to building his business, now shattered after thieves steal this man's truck and thousands of dollars of equipment inside.
My livelihood, my life was just gone.
Tonight, you can help this Coloradan get back on his feet.
Plus, a video that has Colorado Parks and Wildlife issuing a warning why they say moose and elk are especially dangerous this time of year.
Finally, some cooler weather headed to Colorado. I'll let you know when it'll arrive.